Sometimes it seems like every day the media gets taken in by yet another pretty obvious troll. It happens with the regularity of an all-prune diet. It happens with the grim inevitability of another male feminist being outed as a paedophile or a sex offender. It just... Whether it's Godfrey Elfwick or a 4chan operation, it just seems to happen all the fucking time. And lo and behold, surprising... Well, it should have surprised precisely nobody, but apparently surprising a lot of game reporters and internet reporters, this Far Cry petition complaining about how whites were being targeted and so on in this most recent trailer was a scam. Was it Gamergate? No, Gamergate's not really a thing anymore. Apparently it all originates on 4chan. But it's worthy of Gamergate, and it did a lot of the things that Gamergate has sought to point out. The intellectual vapidity of the gaming media, their willingness to jump on anything for a narrative, the fact that they don't know what the fuck they're doing to fall for such a troll in the first place. There were a few notable exceptions, such as Forbes. I mean, this couldn't have been more obvious in the nature of its complaints, and so on. It just couldn't have been more obvious that it was a troll, and yet plenty of people, journalists and individuals alike, took it completely seriously and absolutely at face value, because it appeared to tie in to their agenda. So they were perfectly willing to parade it around and go, look, gamers are all alt-right, barely away from the militia or whatever, something that's never been true. And it's just absurd and obvious how willing they are to take the bait so long as something fits their preconceived biases. And that goes for individuals too. I was being harangued by someone on Facebook due to this very petition, saying, oh, look at all these people, you were always on the wrong side of history and all the rest of that kind of bullshit that we're so used to hearing. When this was that obvious. I mean, what the fuck? The whole thing does work on another level, though. If you hop into your internet time machine and go back to look at what was being said about previous Far Crys, particularly Far Cry 3, Far Cry 4, you'll find mirrors of exactly the same complaints that were supposedly being made in the Far Cry 5 petition, but being made about those games. About the presentation of races and so on in those games, about the presentation of the environment, the accuracy of the language, suggesting that different enemies be used, and so forth. You'll also find these being picked up and taken seriously by sites like Kotaku and Polygon and so on. Perfectly willing and happy to take up complaints in those instances, but pouring derision and not taking up the complaints in this case, even though they thought it was serious. There is a clear and obvious racist double standard going on. Now, I'm no white supremacist or whatever, but I believe everyone should be treated equally, and there is a clear and obvious bias when it comes to these issues. Yes, you can be racist towards white people. I don't think it matters a fig in the instances of these games. Far Cry sets itself up in forms of conflict, whether that's civil wars or drug dealing or whatever else, and this is just another quite fresh and interesting looking take on that. It shouldn't matter either way. What bothers me, and what bothers a lot of people, and what's bothered us about a lot of other issues, such as the Wonder Woman screenings and so on, isn't necessarily the act itself, but the hypocrisy and the self-justification given, the pomposity, the pseudo-intellectualism, the redefinition of terms, all of these kind of things. And in this instance, we see again a clear and distinct double standard. Look, you're supposed to be tech journalists. You're supposed to be games journalists. You've had 3 years of people dogging you over your mistakes, exposing your bias, exposing your malpractice, exposing your corruption, exposing your nepotism. You should be on your absolute best behaviour, and you should be more careful. If you claim to be a tech reporter, if you claim to be a game reporter, if you claim to know anything about internet culture, you should not be being caught out so easily by these kind of trolls. You should know better, in short. What's wrong with you? Dang.
Wasn't all easy.
Old Fat Punks is part caper, part comedy, part nostalgia, and part commentary. It follows 3 aging punks as they build themselves up for one big, nihilistic last hurrah. You can buy Old Fat Punks at Amazon, Drive-Thru Fiction, or Lulu.com. Follow the links below or search on those sites.